welcome back to Beanie's Hobbies. And in this video, we're going to be discussing time-lapse. Now, on my channel, you would have seen quite a lot of time-lapse videos. Yes, in all fairness, they're not the new slick time-lapse that everybody's doing. So, me being me, I thought, well, let's have a look into trying this out. Now, there are a couple of ways of doing it. First way is mounting a holder onto the side here to hold your remote, and then obviously attaching something to your hot end here. So obviously when your hot end moves across, it will trigger the remote, take the photo. Now that's okay, but I didn't really want to go and print something to hang off the side of my gantry, and I didn't want to have to go and faff about and print something that attaches to my hot end. So I thought there must be an easier way of doing this. So a little bit of research online and looking around at some different triggers. I came across this one here. This is not an expensive trigger. Picked it up from Amazon. It was about nine English pounds. So good old classic Blue Peter style for all you British people out there. Here's one I prepared earlier. Now I will take you through, show you how to do this. Now I've got this set up on my Ender 3 V2, and basically all I have done is removed the circuit board out of the remote, soldered two new cables onto it, and then I attach it to the end stop switch. So obviously when the print head moves across, hits the switch, completes the circuit, takes a photo. Now I can demonstrate this for you guys. So obviously we just plug it in. Now I'm using this on a DLSR. Only got a Canon EOS 250D, so nothing too spectacular. So what we're looking for here is obviously the remote input. So take the end of the cable, plug it in, and just turn the camera on. Okay, printer powered on, plugged into the remote switch, plugged into our board, which is just what's soldered on to our switch. And obviously when the print head comes across, triggers a switch. Take a photo. Easy as that. Now the other good way about doing it, let me just turn this printer off. Now another good way about doing it this way around is you actually don't need to insert any custom G-code into your slicing software. Now what we'll do is we'll go over to the computer and I'll show you. It's literally, you have to just tick one box and it'll do it all for you. So we'll head over to the computer and I'll show you what settings you need to, well, what one setting you need to change in your slicing software to enable the print head to move back and trigger that switch to take the photo. So we'll head to the computer now. I'll show you that first, and then I'm going to show you guys how to set it up on my CR6-SE. What's a new little print, another new printer we've got come in. So I've got two little small printers set up here at the minute. I'm using a slightly smaller workshop than what I'm used to, so I've only got these two printers here at the moment. So yeah, let's head over to the computer. I'll show you what you have to do in the slicing software, and then I will show you how to wire it up. Very simple. It is literally two wires soldered onto the switch. That is it. Right. See you in a minute over on the computer. Right guys, so we're now over on the computer. So this is simple. All you're going to do is launch your Ultimaker Cura. Now I'm all just using Cura. I wouldn't know how to do this any other way. So if you're using Cura, this will work for you. If not, tough. This is the easiest way to do it. So we'll just wait for Cura to load up. like so. There we go. Now all we're going to need to do is we're going to go into extensions, then we're going to go into post-processing. We're going to modify the G code, and as you can see here already, I've already added it to my Ender 3 Pro. Obviously yours wouldn't be in here, so for instance you'll end up with a screen like this. All you need to do is click add script, and you can see right down the bottom here we have got Timelapse, so we need to enable Timelapse. Now I haven't touched any of these settings and they have been absolutely fine for me. Obviously the M240 is the command for the print head to go back and trigger the switch. So you can leave everything else as it is. Close. So obviously when you now slice your file, that all code will already be inserted into the G code for the printer to understand, and after every layer it will move, the head will move across and it will take a photo. So that's all we need to do on the computer. So now what I'm going to do is show you how to install this on your printer. Right guys, so first thing we're going to need to obviously do is unpack our trigger. So obviously in the packet we'll have the trigger and then obviously the cables. So we don't need the cables for now, so we'll put them to one side. What we need is the trigger. And the first thing we're going to need to do is remove the 4 screws that hold it together. So, screwdriver. Okay, so we've got our screws removed, so we're going to open it up, and the piece that we need is this little circuit board just here, and that is held in by another 2 screws there and there, so you need to take those out. Okay, then this piece will then come out. Now, if you wanted to, you could use these wires. We don't need all 3. We only need the yellow wire and the red wire. But if I was you, I would suggest to use some slightly heavier gauge wire, like I have done on this one. So you're going to need to cut these wires, or you can get your soldering iron out and unsolder them. But now for ease, I am just going to cut them. Otherwise I can never find anything when you want it. Okay, so you don't need this anymore. If you want to keep it, you can keep it. If not, pop it in the bin. It's entirely up to you. Right, now this is the part that we are left with. Now this is the part we're going to need. Like I say, you will need to do a little bit of soldering. It's not a lot of soldering. We're going to need to take these wires off here, put 2 new wires. We don't need to worry about this white wire. This is not used. All this is used for is your you're focusing. But what you're going to do before you start doing this, you will manually focus your camera and leave it set. So this wire, the middle wire, is not needed for anything, so you can just disregard that middle wire. You don't need it. You're just going to need the 2 end wires either end on this board, there and there. So let me get my soldering iron set up and ready to go. We'll get this unsoldered, put some wire on it, and then I'll show you where you need to wire it up onto the switch on the printer. Then job done. That's it. Alright guys, I shall be back. Right guys, so you should be able to see I've got you zoomed in quite well. I don't know if it's going to go blurry when I put my hand in there. So just grab your soldering iron. You don't need too much heat. You obviously don't want it as hot as the surface of the sun or you're going to melt the board. Well, the first thing we're going to do is just heat up the solder that's on the board. If I could hold my hand still and just remove the wire. Well, that's it, the wire is removed. Right, the next thing we're going to need to do is get some wire. So, we've got a couple of pieces of wire cut. So next thing we're going to do is focus. Well, you know what wire looks like. Just going to strip the ends and just tin them up. Now, obviously, I don't need to show you guys how to strip the end of a bit of wire. If you don't know how to strip the end of a bit of wire, then you probably shouldn't be doing this. Okay, now you don't need, this is quite awkward where I've got it positioned. Now you don't need loads of wire, you only need a little bit of wire. Oh my god, camera. Focus. Focus. Alright, it's not going to focus. But as you can see here, you don't need loads of wire, you only want a small piece. Right, let's snip the end off. And then I keep putting stuff down and losing it. I'm just having one of those days. Whoop. Alright, so let's get you guys zoomed back in. Now, like I said, we need to put one piece of wire on the inside. So we need one piece of wire on this one, and then we need one piece of wire on that one. Don't need any wire on the middle. Okay, so I'm just going to quickly, off camera, just tin this wire up. Okay, and then like I said, to the left hand side. Okay, so you should end up with something resembling that. So let's just zoom back out and remove this. So we've got one wire on the outside, both corners. Okay, so that's that piece now finished. So the next job, we now need to move over to the printer and solder that end. So once I get things sorted out, we'll come back for a better look. Bear with me. So coming back to the printer, you are going to need to remove your sticker. If you want to keep it, you can stick it back on there later, but it's only a sticker. Right, what you're going to need to do is undo the 4 Allen keys holding this cover on. Now keep in mind that the motor is attached to the back of this, but the actual belt will hold it in place, so just be a little bit careful when you remove these 4 screws. Try to do the best I can without getting my hands in the way, because what we need to get to is the switch. Pop the gimbal with my hand. Disconnect the wire, and then we're going to need to remove the switch from this housing. And that is just obviously held in with 2 screws. Now obviously don't drop your screws. You will need them to put this back together again. So obviously just undo the 2 screws. And there we have our switch. Now with the switch, what we're going to need to do is our 2 wires that we've just soldered on to our little circuit board here. What we're going to need to do with the other 2 ends is we're going to need to solder them onto the switch. See, when the head comes across, presses the switch, it completes the circuit, which then sends the signal down to this board, to the camera. Sorry guys, it just will not focus. To take the picture. So that's the next step. Alright guys, so we need to wire our little board up here up to the switch. Now when it comes to wiring this up, we're going to be using, let me see if I can find a little bit of a pokey stick. Sorry, it doesn't knock the camera. Now we're going to be using this first blade and the second blade. Okay, we're not using the third blade, it's just the first and the second blade we're going to be using. Okay, so I shall start soldering this up. Just get a bit of solder onto my wire. Sorry, I'll keep knocking the thing. Like I say, I am no soldering expert. You're probably all going to be criticising my soldering skills, but as long as it works at the end of the day, who cares? Alright, let's just tinning up this other wire so that will hold in place so I can get some more solder on it. So like I said, the outside one and the middle one, guys. Okay, so you can see I've got it on the first blade and on the second blade. You can actually see, I don't know if you can see, I'll get a bit better lighting how you can see. Excuse me. So we have got C, and then we have got on. Okay, we're not using CN, so we're just using C and on. And that's that wired up. So before I take this out, let me zoom you guys back out again. All the way out, please. And of course, next job, we need to install this back onto the printer. Okay guys, so like I was saying, we need to screw the switch back into the housing with our screws that we took out earlier on. Obviously being careful not to trap any of the new wires as you screw it in. Okay, so we have it back in. Now, obviously, we need to move back over to the printer and reinstall. Also, don't forget to plug it in for one, and then reinstall it back onto the machine. Gone, but I'm not going to bother. So that is it, guys. We now have our trigger wired up to our end stop switch. Now we can test it, make sure it works. So let's just fire the printer up, get our camera, plug it in, turn our camera on, whoop, down. So now obviously every time the head comes across, pushes the switch, I'll take a picture. That's simple, guys. And that's it for this easy sort of tutorial. Now, I haven't got any time-lapse footage as of yet to upload for you guys, because I thought I'd get the tutorial up and running first. So if you guys want to try it out for yourselves, you then could. I will have some time-lapse footage coming up shortly for you all. But obviously at the moment I'm only running these two very small machines because I have limited space. So like I said, we have the Ender 3 V2, and then we have the CR6-SE I managed to get hold of. And obviously the only thing you'd have to do, best thing to do is to zip tie your wire at the back out of the way. Now when you buy these, they do come with a shorter wire, and they'll also come with, momentarily misplaced it, they'll come with a shorter wire, and they also come with an extension lead as well, so you've got plenty of cable to run it around and put your camera wherever you want to put it. I will leave the link for the trigger down below in the description. Now, you do have to be careful which ones you buy. You need to be looking for the ones which have the separate plug-in wire. because if they're hardwired, they will not have this little circuit board in that you need. All they have inside of those is just some spring bits of metal, which when you push the button down, it just creates a contact. So you need to be looking for the ones that have a separate cable to plug in. Like I say, I will link it down in the description below. Cost me, I'm sure, £9–10 off Amazon. Anyway guys, I hope you found this of some use. If you did, leave me a like. If you want to subscribe. I haven't forgot about the 500 subscriber giveaway. That video will be coming up shortly. And also guys, remember to stay tuned, because when we get to 1,000 subscribers, I will be giving a printer away. I do have a brand new printer all ready to go for somebody. I've actually got 2 brand new printers that I haven't unboxed. One of them's for me, the other one is for a giveaway. So yeah, stay tuned for that when we get to 1,000 subscribers. Anyway guys, that's it for now, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Cheerio!